When you hear the name Pompeii, your mind probably jumps straight to Mount Vesuvius, the eruption, the tragedy, basically the really dramatic end to the story in 79 CE. But have you ever wondered what life was like before all of that? What was a totally normal Tuesday like for the people actually living there? Let's explore that today. Welcome to Hoodie History, where I explore the fascinating places of the past like Pompeii. It's great to have you here. I'm Michael, your host, and in this episode we'll journey into what life was like for normal people in Pompeii before disaster struck. Thanks to those layers of ash from the volcanic eruption preserving everything, we can actually piece together a pretty vivid picture of daily life in a bustling Roman town. Let's dive in. Alright, picture this. Dawn breaks over Pompeii. Most people are starting their day pretty early. Breakfast is simple. Maybe some bread, fruit, cheese, nothing too fancy to kick things off. If you were wealthy, you lived in a domus. This house usually had a central courtyard called an atrium. There might also be another garden courtyard at the back. Lots of frescoes on the walls, mosaics on the floors. Poorer folks or those renting might live in smaller apartments or rooms above shops, called insulae, kind of like ancient Roman apartment blocks. Okay, breakfast done, time to hit the streets. And Pompeii's streets were busy. Imagine narrow stone pavements, stepping stones to cross when it rained, or when the streets needed flushing. Shops opening up, you'd hear vendors shouting, carts rattling, people chatting everywhere. What jobs were people heading off to? All sorts. Bakers were important, gotta have bread. There were merchants selling everything from pottery to wine. Artisans crafting goods. Politicians heading to the Forum, the main public square. Basically the heart of the city for business, politics, and hanging out. And, like much of the Roman world, there was slavery. Enslaved people did a huge amount of the manual labor, domestic work, and even some skilled jobs, forming a big part of the city's workforce. Midday comes around, time for a break. You might grab a quick lunch at the Thermopolium. Think ancient Roman fast food. These places had counters with big pots set into them, serving hot food and drinks. Super convenient. But the real place to be in the afternoon, the public baths. This wasn't just about getting clean, it was a massive social hub. You'd go to exercise, bathe in pools of different temperatures, cold, warm, hot. They used a system called a hypercaust to control the water temperature. A big furnace outside would push hot air under raised floors, supported by little pillars, and channel it up through flues inside the walls. This warmed the whole room and, importantly, the water in the hot and warm pools. The cold pool was just unheated. After your bath, you might enjoy a massage. Then you can catch up on gossip with friends and neighbors. If you wanted other entertainment, Pompeii had theatres too. You could catch plays, musical performances, or pantomimes, so definitely options for kicking back. As the afternoon wears on, people might visit friends or head home. Dinner was generally the main meal of the day, more substantial than breakfast or lunch, often enjoyed with family and, of course, more wine. If you were wealthy, you might recline on couches in a special dining room called a triclinium. Social structure was pretty clear. You had the wealthy elite, the common citizens, freed men, and the enslaved. Where you fit in definitely shaped your daily experience. And did you know that Pompeians loved graffiti? Archaeologists have found messages scribbled all over the walls. Everything from political slogans and advertisements to gossip, declarations of love, and crude jokes. Maybe it was like ancient Roman Twitter or a public message board, right there on the buildings. Pompeii enjoyed a typical Mediterranean climate. Summers were hot and dry, making shade essential. Winters were mild and wet, so wearing warmer clothes was a must. Spring and autumn were likely beautiful weather-wise. As for clothes, the absolute basic for pretty much everyone, men, women, and children, and enslaved people, was the tunic. Imagine a simple, usually woolen T-shaped garment, belted at the waist, knee-length for guys, often longer for women. If you're an adult male citizen doing something important, especially in public, you might drape yourself in the famous toga, a big semicircular sheet of wool. Married citizen women might wear a long sleeveless dress called a stola over their tunic, and often a large shawl known as a palla when they went outdoors. On their feet, simple leather sandals were common, and cloaks were definitely needed for warmth or rain. So, life in Pompeii was vibrant, noisy, busy, pretty normal really. People went about their days working, eating, socializing. It sounds like it was a really nice place to live, to be honest. Too bad there was a volcano pretty much in your backyard. Mount Vesuvius loomed in the background, sure, but it hadn't erupted violently for centuries. There might have been earth tremors, common in the area, but likely nothing that screamed imminent city-destroying catastrophe. The Pompeians had no idea their ordinary world would be frozen in time. So that's a glimpse into a typical day in Pompeii, right before disaster struck. It's easy to focus on the tragedy, but remembering real people helps. They lived everyday lives, buying bread, grumbling about politicians, and relaxing at the baths. This makes it all feel much more real. What part of daily Pompeian life surprised you the most? Or what job would you have wanted, or definitely not wanted, back then? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this step back in time, please give the video a thumbs up, it really helps. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss more explorations into history here on Hoodie History. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep your curiosity burning bright and maybe steer clear of any active volcanoes.